Hi, welcome to the small shed. This Saturday we're trying to mend the pond pump. See you in a minute. Now I took all the pump out of the pond last week and managed to dig it out. I've just put a plug on it and to see if it would actually turn, and it's not running at all at the moment, so which is what I suspected because it was not working when it was in the pond. I think what it is that it's just full of crap from plants growing into it and all sorts of things like that. They're fairly simple devices. There is only basically an electromagnet wrapped around an impeller that should run as soon as you put a voltage through it. Very little to go wrong, but obviously if there is something just blocking it up, just muck or whatever, that will be what it is. So I'm going to take it apart on the bench, see what we can find, see if we can get it running. If not, we'll have to replace it. So this is the article in question. It's a Lotus Otter Legend 2500 55 watt pump, which should pump 2.15 meters high. Doesn't tell you what the actual output is, but we only wanted a trickle on the waterfall anyway, and it was working fine. But as you can see, the roots from the lilies have even got into they've actually grown through where the screw thread is to get at the guts of the thing, and there's a lot of growth inside there. There should be a cover on it, which I've found, which clips on. There should also be a filter medium in here of some sort, and I haven't managed to find that, so I might have to improvise something. It's just like a large kitchen scourer type thing, but allows water to get through but not plant material. And I'm not sure there wasn't something screwed onto it as well, but I'm not sure about that. And as I say, I think all that there is that the impeller will be blocked up. This whole part here should basically just twist to release it, and as long as the plastic's not too brittle that it cracks, we should be able to get it undone. It's starting to move already. And then once that's done, I think, if I remember rightly, it just pulls it apart. There's just rubber seals on the yeah, that's going. Rubber seals on it just to keep the water out. It is. Yeah, and you can see immediately that there's so much filth in there and stuff that's been growing in through the outlet pipe that it's probably a simple matter of that filth. The impeller should just come straight out, which it does, and that's all it is. It's nothing, there's no working parts particularly in it. I would hope all it needs is a good wash out, clean all the parts up, and we can be back in business. There's a vein on the front which is all that's pumping the water. I think that's just a magnet or a magnetic that goes into the magnetic field and turns when it gets the voltage through it. And there looks like just a bearing running through the middle of it. Seems to be okay in terms of running okay. I mean, there's nothing there that's causing any problem, I don't think. I think it was just crap inside it. But the next thing to do is to get the body of the thing cleaned up. If I clean this up and it works, then clearly that's all it was. If it doesn't, it's possible that it's just that there's wiring come adrift inside it, but these things are usually either potted in resin or sealed up so that you can't get at them anyway. There is a back cover on it that will probably come off, which again has got stuff growing in it that clicked back on better than it was before. So I don't know, we will explore that possibility if we have to, but the first thing to do is just to get it cleaned up, I think, and we'll give it a try after that. Right, that's now had a good clean. I washed all the parts, there aren't that many anyway. Cleaned everything up. The only thing I can do now really, I think, is to test if there's any continuity in the wiring. If I've got a resistance across the line in the neutral, it should indicate that the coil is still wound and working, so we'll try that next. So if we check the sketchily wired up plug, we've got no resistance at the moment because there's nothing connecting those two together. If you connect them together, you make a circuit and it goes to 0. If there is some resistance in that, it will be less, but it will register, and sure enough, yes. So we have some resistance in there, which is fine because there's a coil of wire in there. It's not a complete perfect circuit that will give you naught, but that's because the coil is presumably there. But at least we know that the wiring is connected. So really the only thing I can do now is to put it back together and see if it works. As soon as you go to put that in, you can see there's a magnetism in the coil as well, or around the coil, that just pulls that straight in. It's quite strong, and that just seats the little back bearing in the middle at the back. Then we get onto the front case. There is a rubber O-ring around that. What I generally tend to do with that sort of thing is just to pop a little bit of Vaseline around it, just to make sure that that O-ring is sealed nicely. So we'll put that on. Right, so now all we need to do is pop that middle bearing into that centre surround, and then push the whole thing in. That goes in nicely, and then we can just twist it, tighten it back up again. Not quite square at the moment, that's it. And it just goes in locks sideways, and that's really all there is to them. There's nothing difficult to do in there. So the only thing to do now is to make it, see if it works. I'm going to stand well clear of everything while I do it. So I'll plug it in onto one of the remote controls I've got on the wall. That just runs on there. We'll give it a press and see if it works. yeah. So that's going. It could do with being underwater to make it do anything properly, but at least the thing is now rotating, the impeller's working, it's pushing air out anyway. So that's, I think, a result. Just shows once again you've got nothing to lose by taking these things apart, because if that didn't work and I'd taken it apart, all I would lose is an hour or two playing with it. But you may well then end up spending another 40 or 50 quid on a new pump that you'd have to spend anyway. But just rushing out and buying a new pump is not always the answer. So I need to find some sort of filter medium to put in around that inlet, and I'll have a look for that. It may even be available as a spare part. I'll have a look on eBay. But at the moment, that is now a working pump that can go back into the pond as soon as we've now got the rest of it. I can at least use it now to empty the pond, drain all the water out, do all the repair work, and then we'll put it back as a working thing for the waterfall, which will just take an outlet pipe off the top of that. Settle down a lot better now. Well, that's one more step forwards. We've now got something that we can actually pump out the pond to get the water out. Quite how I deal with the army of newts that I'm going to find in there. I didn't think there was anything living in there, but working close to it for a couple of days has made me realise that the thing is just absolutely teeming with newts going up and down all day long. So we'll have to try and find some sort of solution to keep those alive for a few days and in place, but once we've got that done, we'll pump the pond out, get the net out and get all the last bits of newt and any other items I can find in there that are living, and we'll put those to one side, and we can get on and sort the liner and edgings out, and hopefully then get on to a feed for the waterfall, connect all that up so that we can then move on and do the waterfall later. Hope you enjoyed the video. I haven't said it for a long while, but thanks very much indeed to all the guys and girls that have subscribed recently. It is appreciated. We're just about nudging around the 900 mark at the moment, so it's the 1,000 is in sight that I was aiming for. Hope you enjoyed the video. Look forward to seeing you next week, and we'll see you then. Take care. Bye.